Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm back with another speed build, and we're actually building in the world of Sulani. I've been kind of itching to build here for a while, as it is very much summer, boiling hot outside here in the northern hemisphere. So I thought it was the perfect time to build something more tropical on the beach over the water. So that is exactly what we are doing here today. And I also haven't done a limited pack build for a while. So this is going to be a starter home only using base game and island living. So if you have the island living expansion pack, your Sims should be able to move right into this house, no issues. I say that, but for some reason, when I uploaded it to the gallery, it was a little bit over 20,000 simoleons, like 100 and something over. But you can see I've been monitoring the price in the upper left-hand corner of the screen the entire time. And when I finish it, it's 19,960. So I'm not sure why it's a little bit more when placed on the gallery, but it's very close to a starter home, and it's a 1-bedroom, so I was imagining this home was only for 1 or 2 Sims. It has been so long since I have exclusively tried to build just using island living items, and it just felt really cool and nostalgic for me. Island living has a special place in my heart, even though it's not my favorite expansion pack, but because the first time The Sims ever acknowledged me and invited me to an event was in 2019 for EA Play. I had maybe 40 or 50,000 subscribers at the time, and I was just so overwhelmed by the fact that they reached out and were inviting me to come hang out in Hollywood and play this pack early before it was even announced. It was a really cool experience, and I felt like I was being brought back to that while I was building this, because I don't ever build with island living in base game, and it was just a blast. So yeah, I really hope you like this build. If you do and you'd like to download it, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will also be in the description down below as well. So right now I'm experimenting with this idea of having a different wallpaper wrapping around the corners, which I keep this idea, just not with the wallpapers I have now. It ends up being this blue instead, which is quite loud, but it matches the roof details that I placed on top of this house, which I thought was really pretty. You see this throughout the world quite a bit, and I was just really happy with the color scheme that I ended up going with. It took me a while to get there. But I think it's a really pretty one. It blends in nicely and matches with the water and the sand. It kind of feels like those are the two colors that I'm pulling from right now. And I used this really pretty canopy right outside the store as well. There is one thing that you will notice throughout this entire build, and that is as we get further along, I start reevaluating what we can keep and what I get rid of because we run out of budget. Because I was really trying to stick to that 20,000 simoleon budget so your Sims could move right on in. But unfortunately, like I said, for some reason, the gallery version has a couple hundred extra, almost 200, less than that, but extra simoleons on there. But I was aiming for this house to be move-in ready for any Sim out of Create a Sim. You could delete some of the columns I have around this lot. They're pretty expensive. I just thought that they looked nice, and that would save you a ton of simoleons, and your Sims could definitely move in here and have some spare change. Anyway, right now I am planning on having this big outdoor deck space, which I end up pretty much getting rid of and turning into just a dock space that maybe you could put a boat or a aqua zip at if you would prefer, if you have some more money. I didn't end up putting one there, and I think I delete the ladder down into the water as well. But I do end up having 2 lounge chairs where I have them now. They're just 2 different ones, and then I am going around to the front of the house to add some stairs to get up into the building. And I'm actually going to scoot all of this over so I can make the interior floor plan make more sense, because with having a central entrance, it limited where I could put walls. And I did want to have a separate bedroom in here. I wasn't imagining this was like a studio on the inside. So it is only 1 bedroom, but there is a separate wall, and the kitchen is actually really small, and the bathroom's the same size as the kitchen, but I think it worked out quite well. It has everything you would need in here, and I am going to show you that momentarily. First, we are working on the landscaping. I am using debug, show live edit objects plants, so that they are free, and really loading them up on this lot, because right off lot you can see there's so many plants, and I really wanted this to look like it was nestled into its surroundings. So I just tried to mimic that and added lots of greenery out here. I also end up adding some green terrain paint, as there's plenty of that off lot as well. And I ended up using a pretty light one, even though the one off lot is much darker. I just liked how bright and vibrant this was. So that's what I ended up doing there. And I used some sand terrain paint from Island Living as well. And then we're heading inside to work on the floor plan. So very quickly, I'm like, okay, the bathroom is perfect over there, but where am I going to put a bedroom because of where the doors are? So then I decided to move this over, and I think that that worked pretty well. So you end up entering into a hallway, and then you have the kitchen off to the side, and the back of the house is where the living space is, and the bathroom is off on the other side of the home. I think the floor plan worked out really, really well in the end, so I was happy that I made the decision to move this. I also am going to delete part of the fence that you can't see in the front here that is behind where the staircase is, to save a little bit of money so we could furnish the home a little bit better. But like I said, the columns that I put all over this house are very expensive, so that would be an easy way to get back some simoleons if your Sims are needing them. I just didn't want to, so I tried to delete anything else I could when it came down to it. But here you can see how the floor plan is going to work, and that I am placing down some doors here. I thought these matched the best as I could to the flooring and everything from Island Living. They're just some base game doors. It was a little bit difficult to figure out how I wanted to place them because there's no like single tile doors from Island Living that don't have a screen in them. And actually the one that we have, I don't think is even single tile, but this is the area where I'm going to have the kitchen. So I am just laying it out like this. And then I decided to actually put a wall here so I could use this giant archway that came with the pack as well. I thought it was really pretty and a nice way to sort of separate the kitchen space. So that's just what I'm doing, and adding the end pieces to the counters so that they are not clipping with the archway. I'm pretty sure I end up getting some really basic, like base game appliances in the kitchen, keeping it very simple and cost effective. And I used this tile from base game as well in this really pretty like teal swatch. I thought that looked quite nice. And then I get all of the cheapest appliances in the bathroom, at least for the toilet and the shower. The sink was not the cheapest, but I thought it looked nice for this area, so that's what I did in here. And I actually ended up picking out a pretty expensive plant from Island Living to put in here, at least compared to some of the options from base game. But it looks so pretty, so I had to. And I never used that plant because it does have some really weird shadows on it. I didn't have as much of an issue with it in this particular build, but quite often I do, so it's just not one I use that often. I also thought about putting like a life preserver above the toilet, just because it was kind of cute, but I didn't end up doing that in the end. I instead found this piece of art that I was like, okay, we're going to put this somewhere in the house. It's a really expensive base game piece, but it's of the island, of all the water and the palm trees. It was just so perfect for this home, so I had to make that work. And then I just picked out a rug over for the living room, and I scaled it up using the tool mod to make it fit the space a little bit better. And I got a couple of these love seats as well. I am going to rotate them so they're facing each other because it just made a little bit more sense for the layout over there. And then I am going to be having a table and chairs over in the corner. I don't end up keeping that table from Island Living because it was too big, but I do keep the chairs and just pair them with this base game one. And then I should be changing the wallpaper on the inside. I really liked the one that I placed down originally, but it was really busy, and it felt like the outside of this had a little bit more of a modern vibe, and so did the furniture that I picked out, so I decided to go with this tile instead, which is also present on the outside of the build. And then I keep having to replace the foundation outside, the stilted foundation. It keeps disappearing, so if you see me going back outside and doing that, that is why. I also decided to get a coffee table in here, which is actually just like an outdoor table from base game, and I put that in the living room. And there's a couple of pieces of artwork that I place around the house, but I end up getting rid of in the end because they were too expensive. So I didn't mention them because they're not staying, but this one is. I was thinking that's a place that would be good for a TV if you decide you want your Sims to have a TV, but in the meantime, we did not have the budget for it. So I thought having a really pretty painting there would be nice. And this is where I had reduced the size of the outdoor space and changed the lounge chairs to these plastic base game ones. And then I'm adding a couple finishing touches with the remaining amount of budget. So I got that really pretty candle with the flowers around it on the dining table. And then I'm trying to figure out what I want to have on the bedside tables in the bedroom. I end up going with this light and a flower, or a little plant. It's not really a flower. I also wanted to make sure I remembered trash cans. And I was like, oh no, these are expensive. And so We're going to have to go back through and pick out some cheaper options for a couple of things, but I did get this Island Living trash can, and then I'm just filling in with a little bit more of the greenery outside. And at this point, I realized some of the artwork had to go. I also really wanted to have a rug in the entryway, not that we had the money for it. And I ended up putting carpeting in the bathroom. Not the bathroom, the bedroom. Thankfully, not the bathroom. But I think it looks okay. I don't think it's the most realistic for this environment, but I really wanted a throw rug in there, but it was too expensive. So I ended up just carpeting this room. And then I changed the bedside tables out for the same table that I have in the living room because they were a little bit cheaper. And I also ended up getting a standing mirror in here and swapping out this dresser for a base game closet. As much as I love that dresser, it is so pretty. It was just cheaper, and this one filled up more space. So that's what had to happen. You got to make some sacrifices when you are building starter homes. I just got a couple of those fish plaques, and that is it for this build. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Thank you so very much for watching. Please let me know what other sort of limited pack builds you would like to see on the channel. Enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.